What's up, everyone? It's your girl Shay here with my channel. If you're new, welcome back to my channel. If you have been here before, as you can see by the title of today's video, I'm talking about some Netflix news because apparently Netflix is getting into the business again of doing some more live action anime series. And we got two that were announced. The first one is being another live action Death Note, but this time it is going to be a series and is going to be made by the Duffer Brothers, who are best known for their work with Stranger Things. Stranger Things, if you guys all know, is the smash hit show that's on Netflix, and it's just current. They just came out with, I think, part 2 of their season 4. I have not seen Stranger Things. I barely know what the show is about. I've seen like maybe the first 2 episodes of the first season when the show was just starting to come out, and I couldn't get into it, so I kind of dropped it. Maybe I'll go back and watch it later, but yeah, as of right now, not so much for sure. But anyway, they plan to come out with a live action Death Note series, and I am concerned. Now, if you've never seen Death Note or never heard of Death Note, never read the manga, Death Note is basically about a kid by the name of Light Yagami, who's about 15 years old at the time, so he's in high school, and he comes upon a notebook called the Death Note. He figures out how it works, that you basically write someone's name in it and basically write how they're going to die. So he basically tries to take on this thing and tries to become god of this new world, because it takes into his hands justice, pretty much. Now, the Death Note was actually dropped by a Shinigami by the name of Ryuk, who basically just dropped it just to have a little fun and basically to see what would happen if a human came across the said Death Note. And therefore, the rest of the series starts out this awesome game of like cat and mouse between Light Yagami and the head investigator, who's basically trying to figure out why these killings or why these murders are basically happening. And it's a great series. It's a great series because Light is such an intelligent character that you as the viewer, as the reader, are reading it or watching it and seeing the decisions that Light makes, and you're going through this whole up and down ride of like, I want him to get caught, but then I also don't want him to get caught. Oh my God, what's going to happen next? And it's just a great series. And when Netflix first did their first live action of it, and then we started to hear more of the details about it, those of us fans of the show were not as optimistic that it was going to be as good as we thought it was going to be. Mostly because in Netflix's original adaptation of the Death Note series, first of all, they did a movie, which was fine. I didn't have an issue with that. But they had it set in the US, and they tried to really make it wider known for American audiences, which honestly really didn't need to be done. But they did it anyway. But they also, not only just that, just changed a lot of the characters around. They changed Light's name from Light Yagami to, I forgot what Light's last name actually was in the Netflix adaptation. But they had it set in Washington as well, and then they changed his personality. So instead of him being this smart, intelligent kid, he became this like nerdy kid that was bullied all the time. And I was very confused, because the great thing about Death Note was seeing how manipulative and how calculated Light actually was. But Light at this point was just reduced to a typical high schooler, which is strange for me to say because usually that's fine, but in a series like Death Note, with how Light was really portrayed, it just didn't seem right. But anyway, the Duffer Brothers plan to come out with another Netflix adaptation, and I am not for sure how I feel about it. As of right now, I guess since we don't know a lot of details, I can kind of be optimistic about it at this point, but I don't have much hope. The first one, Netflix adaptation of Death Note, was terrible. You know, just like I talked about how the differences were, it was bad. But it was bad from the standpoint of an adaptation, but not bad when you thought about it in a horror or thriller film sense. If you were someone who was not a fan of Death Note at all, or didn't really know what Death Note even was. And actually, it did push a lot of people to actually watch the original series to really see what this series was actually all about. So it kind of garnered a little bit more anime fans at that point, or at least fans of the series, at least. But anyway, I am going to wait to see what the Duffer Brothers plan to actually do. Now, as far as my hopes of what they plan to do with the series, is that I hope they actually do have it set in Japan. I hope they really do have Asian actors portray a lot of the characters in this show. I really also hope that they do keep Light's personality the way it is, because that is what made Death Note so intriguing, was the personality of Light Yagami and the personality of the inspector that was trying to catch Light Yagami, or trying to catch Kira, which was the name that was given to the person that was kind of behind everything, or the person given to what Light Yagami was basically trying to do, if that makes sense. But anyway, that's what I'm hoping for, but I'll wait and reserve my judgment until I hear more about what's actually going to happen with this series. Now, besides a Death Note live action, there's also going to be a Yu Yu Hakusho live action. Now, if you've never seen or watched Yu Yu Hakusho, I'll explain it to you. I was a huge fan of the Yu Yu Hakusho series. I actually watched it on Adult Swim. When Adult Swim, or Toonami actually, used to air between the hours of 3 p.m. and 5 p.m. or 3 p.m. and 7 p.m. Actually not 3 p.m. to 7 p.m. Actually used to air between the hours of 5 p.m. and 7 p.m. on Cartoon Network. And this was when Toonami had, a weekday slot as well as, of course, the regular Saturday night slot as well. So Yu Yu Hakusho aired on there. Basically, it was about a kid by the name of Yusuke Urameshi who, while he's kind of like a punk kind of a kid, gets into a lot of fights, kind of known of being, not the best kid in the world when it comes to school and stuff. And basically he's out and tries to do a good deed when he sees a kid go out into the street chasing after a soccer ball, and in the process ends up getting killed. Turns out he actually wasn't supposed to die, so he's on this journey at one point to actually get back into his body, which then starts him on a journey of him becoming a spirit detective, working for the spirit world and basically coming across and like arresting and killing and getting all these like otherworldly creatures who are basically causing havoc in their world or on Earth, pretty much. Basically, that's what Yusuke basically pretty much does. And he has a host of characters that are along with him, such as a friend of his, which is Kuwabara, and then also two otherworldly creatures that I absolutely love, and that is Hiei and Kurama. Hiei is absolutely my favorite character. He's such a wisecrack in the anime that I just love him so much. But anyway, that is the show that they're planning to do a live action of, and it's going to be a live action series. And when this was first announced, I don't know how I feel about it. I feel like when it comes to most live actions that are announced, I kind of am on the fence about it because of the fact that most anime live actions are really bad except for a select few. It makes me kind of nervous about it, but then I also want to be, in a weird way, strangely optimistic because I want to know more and I want to see what's actually going to happen with it before I reserve all judgment into how I feel about it, because who knows, it might turn out to be surprisingly good. And I'm looking at you, Detective Pikachu, because Detective Pikachu actually was great and I absolutely love that live action. But I digress. Now, I did read up a little bit more as far as like the director of Yu Yu Hakusho, and the director of Yu Yu Hakusho actually was also kind of concerned when Netflix wanted to do a live action because he didn't think it could really be done. I do know that there's a stage play that has already been done for the Yu Yu Hakusho series, but stage play and, live action series on TV or Netflix are two very completely different things and can have two very different results. So he actually wasn't for sure until Netflix actually presented their ideas and kind of talked to him and told him a little bit more about how they were going to go about it. And then because of that, he actually became really, really excited. But once again, talking about it and executing it are two very different things. So I'm still not for sure how I feel about it. But I know that this week they started to announce the casting for Yu Yu Hakusho. And I believe at this point they've announced the cast announcements for Yusuke, Hiei, and for Kurama. I am not going to say who the actors are. Definitely look them up if you want to know more, mostly because I don't want to butcher their names. But as of this point, this is only at 6:48 in the morning on a Tuesday. That is whom they have so far announced for casting. They haven't announced casting for Botan, haven't announced casting for Keiko, nor do we know any of the other characters that they may have in the series and which characters they may actually take out. Since many of you guys know in a lot of live action, sometimes they'll take out characters or they'll add in characters that weren't originally in the series, or even combine characters as just as a way to kind of cut down, not the amount of material, but kind of take out some of the stuff that may not really be needed on screen, where you can go back obviously and like rewatch the series if you really want to see it in its entirety, pretty much. As far as the release date, we do know that for Yu Yu Hakusho, the release date is December of 2023. So we have a little bit over a year before this series actually comes out. So yeah, I'm kind of optimistic about it. So we'll see. I know some people are going to bring up, well, what about Cowboy Bebop? Because that was also a series. Well, I didn't have a huge issue with Cowboy Bebop because I wasn't a fan of the anime. So watching the live action, I was thoroughly surprised. Granted, I did have some issues with it overall, like how some of the characters actually looked and some of the villains. Like, I was not a fan of Vicious again, but yeah, that's besides the point. This video is not about Cowboy Bebop. But anyway, looking more about the live action for Yu Yu Hakusho, I will say so far with the casting based on it visually, I am glad that they actually decided to choose Asian actors to actually portray a lot of the characters, since there is this like ongoing thing in Hollywood of them wanting to whitewash a lot of characters that are supposed to be Asian. And I think it's great that they're actually casting Asian actors to play a lot of the characters, and that so far they're not trying to dumb down the series or try to make it available for a wider audience per se, because that was one of the downfalls for the adaptation for the original Death Note live action, was them actually doing that. So I am interested to see, or I'm kind of excited or happy to really see that. But overall, for both of these series, I will withhold a lot of my judgment until I know a little bit more. I'm excited to see the teaser for Yu Yu Hakusho whenever that decides to be released. At this point, since we're just doing casting so far, we won't really see a teaser for probably at least a good 6 to 7 months from now, if not maybe a little bit longer, probably closer to when the show is actually going to come out. I will say one thing I do like about what they're doing for both of these is that they're doing a series as opposed to them doing a movie. I feel like that's a great way for them to actually put in a lot more of the series as opposed to feeling like they have to cut out a lot of chunks of it, if that makes sense. But yeah, what do you guys think? Comment below what you think about these 2 live action series coming to Netflix. Do you think Netflix should kind of slow their roll and like stop doing live action anime series for now? Or are you optimistic about what may actually happen? Comment below and basically let me know. But yeah, that's what I have for you guys today. If you'd like to do it, give it a thumbs up. And of course, if you want to see more of my videos, please subscribe if you haven't already. I should have a new video out for you guys soon. I will try to have 2 videos out for you guys this week. I've been very busy over the past like few weeks or so it's been a little bit more harder for me to crank out videos. And I also want to make sure that I'm putting out videos that I really do want to talk about instead of just talking about any old thing. And the reason why I've been so busy is that I'm actually getting married in like 37 days from now. I'm getting married. Yeah, that is very exciting, and that's why I have been so busy. But yeah, I'll see you guys soon with a brand new video. I have links down below all my social media accounts, my Instagram, my Twitter, and I also do have a TikTok, so feel free to check me out on there as well. And like I always tell you guys, stay positive, stay nerdy, and stay healthy, and of course, please stay safe. All right, you guys, bye.